so much. I feel so lucky that I got to be here this weekend and hear these incredible speakers. And I have a very disorganized sort of thoughts that I had while we were hearing the speakers that I want to share with you. The first thought, and it's going to jump all around because I couldn't get organized enough, and sometimes one speaker would make me think of another speaker and everything like that. Okay, so our last speaker, Victoria Modesta. Oh my God, she's amazing, so incredible. And that spike leg is so scary. That is a very, very scary leg. And when she said that when she did that body with the spike leg and that it was moving to so many people, I thought, was it that they were moving away from your leg? Because that leg is really scary. Also, I loved all the video that she showed us about the work that she and other people are doing about body armor that sort of responds to other people. And that reminded me of when I was on this sketch show years ago. Because I was thinking of that one where the guy's looking at the woman and she has all the 3D printed stuff and it's sort of responding to his gaze. And I wrote this sketch years ago that didn't quite work, but I'll tell you about it because I know you want to hear. And it was about an alien planet where the women's eyes had evolved. They'd gone blind, and their eyeballs had evolved onto their nipples because for so many years men had looked at women's breasts instead of into their eyes that evolution responded and just put their eyeballs on their nipples. And I had to wear this outfit, and I had to have a thing where I pushed a button and my eyes would tear and I could dab them. And anyway, it reminded me of that. Okay. Then, yes, I'm going backwards. Noam Chomsky. Okay, first of all, I didn't get to meet Noam Chomsky, but I got to sit next to him in the waiting area. And I think if you were asking me when I died, what are the top things that happened in my life, sitting nearby him backstage will be one of those things. So that was incredibly exciting. And also, he was incredibly depressing, of course. That was so depressing. And I kept thinking, Andre, why did you pick that chair for him to sit in? Because there were these kind of orange wings that were coming out of the back. And I really felt like he was delivering such horrible news that there was almost a devil-like quality, like I'm coming to tell you how you humanity are going to have to pay for your sins about it. Just thinking. And then I wanted to say, too, that I was raised Catholic, and I actually loved being Catholic, except that then I started learning about science when I was 40, way too late. And then I had to stop believing in the myths, even though I still have an appreciation for the Catholic culture. And the reason I bring this up is because before, when I was a Catholic, and I would go to events like a parade or something like that, and I would see people with signs that said, "The end is coming, the apocalypse is around the corner, repent, change your life." I would think, as a believer then, I would think, oh, those people are crazy. That's so sad, those people. And now, I have gone through a scientific education, and now when I go to public places and I see people with those signs, I think, yes, that's true. The apocalypse is about to happen. Not for the reasons you're saying, but we all need to stop and do something about it. So, okay, now let's go back to my other notes. I'm so happy to be in Mexico. The last 10 years, I've been mostly a stay-at-home mom in Chicago, but before that, I traveled to Mexico a lot, and just coming to Puebla, which I've never been to Puebla, but to Mexico City many times, I am so inspired to remember my Spanish from high school. ¿Cómo está? Muy bien, gracias, y tú. Okay, and oh my God, this country is so incredible. And I'm just sort of filled up with the love of this country, and I feel so lucky to be here. And I wrote this down. I don't know if this is something, but this might be because I'm old now. I have gray hair, and I am a little old. A little. But as soon as I got here, men rushed towards me to take my arm to walk up and down steps and get in and out of cars, which is something that I have not experienced at all. So then I thought, oh my God, do I really look so old that people, when the car drives up, men just rush towards and go, oh my God, no, let me take your arm. Or if I'm just like going down the steps, suddenly a bunch of men arrive to take my arm. And then I thought, oh my God, it's happened. I'm the little old lady now. Oh my God. And then I talked to another guy, and he said, no, I think that's actually the culture of Mexico, because I was with a woman, we were walking down the stairs, she was Mexican, and she put her arm out for me to take as we went down the stairs. So I said, oh, maybe it's this sort of Spanish chivalrous thing that's happening in Mexico. It's not about the fact that I'm getting so old, right? Okay. Okay, before I get into the show, or commenting on the show, which, oh my God, was so great, because I don't speak Spanish, I listen to everything in Spanish with the headphones, and I feel I have such a close relationship with the two people who did the translations. I love them so much. Now, I have to say the woman was better than the man, but they were both great, and the woman would really put a lot of emotion into it. You know, it wasn't just like a translation. The man was more the translation, but the woman was like really getting into it, and I appreciated it so much, and I feel so close to her, and I don't even know where she is, or I don't know where she does it. Is she up in the sky? But I would like her to come home with me and do translations for me between my husband and daughter and myself. I would like to put the earphone in, and I want her to say while my husband's talking, okay, he is not being empathetic with you, but he is solving your problem, which is his way of having compassion. Or if I'm talking to my daughter, I want her to say, okay, she's nattering on about her dance club, on and on and on, too much detail, but this is her way of being close to you by giving you too much information. Or this is your daughter. She's rejecting you now because you are the person she can reject. Okay, so I just want to say I'm in love with the translating woman. All right. Let's go to Steven Pinker. Okay, so I love Steven Pinker too, and I was so happy. Okay, first of all, can we have a debate between Noam Chomsky and Steven Pinker? Because I was so happy, because I am in the Noam Chomsky frame of mind. First of all, not just the Noam Chomsky frame of mind, I'm in Noam Chomsky's mind, because I read what he writes, and not just him, but everyone, and I'm in a state of panic. And so when I saw Steven Pinker's talk, I was so happy. It was like, you mean if you pull the camera back far enough, things are actually going pretty good. And I was so feeling, of course, I was hearing the Beatles song in my mind the whole time. Things are getting better all the time. Better, better, better. Okay, so Steven Pinker said, compared to 30 years ago, we're 96% less likely to be killed in a car accident, which, fantastic. I'm all for that. But then he said, we're 97% less likely to be hit by lightning. But he did not explain that. So my question is, did God say, you know, humans are really getting their shit together. I'm not going to strike them dead with a lightning bolt like I used to. In fact, I'm not going to kill them by lightning at about a 97% less rate than I did before. And then later, when we heard about Tristan Harris, when he came up here and talked about how, Google and Facebook and everyone has already hacked into our minds, and his scariest phrase to me, which was, we have created the ultimate AI and we've directed it at ourselves, I began to wonder if Google had in fact hacked Steven Pinker's mind and caused him as a robot to write the book about how everything's getting better so that we can lull ourselves into a feeling of complacency. Huh? Okay, all right. Okay, Bitcoin. Okay, I have been successfully trying to avoid knowing what or anything about Bitcoin for the last 10 years. I really don't want to know about Bitcoin, but I feel like in the last week, not just here, but elsewhere, okay, I guess we have to know about Bitcoin. Okay, first of all, why Bitcoin? I don't like that name. It sounds like a bit of coin. Or it almost sounds like if you were in the Old West and someone said, "Chomp down on this Bitcoin while I dig the bullet out of your leg." And I thought, you know what? I am going to withhold my investment in Bitcoin until they have a larger currency denomination, which I guess would be Bytecoin. All right, that's my Bitcoin material, people. Okay, Prince Andrew. All right, Prince Andrew, we must discuss. Okay. First, before Prince Andrew came on the stage, there were two very handsome young men in indigenous regalia who came on the stage with their conch shell and their other thing. And they were there for a really long time. They really stood on the stage a really long time. Well, I didn't know why they were there. And I, of course, was hoping maybe they'd do a dance or something. I thought maybe something was going to happen. And I'm really interested in indigenous culture and dance, and particularly from Mexico. And so I was happy to see them. Okay, and then Prince Andrew came out and started talking about his program, his entrepreneurial program. And then suddenly I didn't like it because I thought if I were a PR person from Buckingham Palace, I would say, "Prince Andrew, do not get on the stage with the indigenous people in the regalia. It just does not create a good picture for us in the British Empire. That is not, it is bringing up many associations that are very uncomfortable." And then I thought, well, wait a minute. So Prince Andrew, who seems like a wonderful person, is giving entrepreneurial advice to these people who have entrepreneurial ideas. I mean, as far as I know, the royal family is one of the most subsidized. They're so far away from being entrepreneurial. If anything, Prince Andrew would say, there should be a guaranteed minimum income for everyone. Forget about mercantilism. Okay, so then I thought, okay, so then I had to get over that. Okay. And then it was a little bit, I said, and then they will blow the conch shell after 3 minutes. It's like, I don't like it. Okay. So then I thought, okay, but maybe I need to rethink the British Empire and my negative associations with its colonial history. And I think, what if, well, first of all, you could look at the British Empire and British colonialism as a major disruptive technology. Okay, am I right? Okay. In some ways, plantations were the Uber of its day. Or maybe you could say the Airbnb of its day because it provided a full experience. Okay, that's all. Oh, I did have a thing. I had a fun fantasy of the royal family doing Shark Tank. And the royal family's there. And people are coming in. And the royal family have questions. And they're like, how much profit can you expect from this business? You know, we got 97% profit from our rubber plantations in Malay. And maybe the queen would say, oh, I'm so confused. These are gifted people. I thought you said they were gifting us those people. There's my Prince Andrew material. All right. Okay, news you can use. Dan Ariely, oh my God, I love that guy. So he's the guy who he does all these social experiments. He's the guy who has half a beard because the other half of his face got burned. He's the sweetest guy. I loved his talk so much. I love the scale where you don't see the number because personally for me, when I get on the scale and I've dieted for a full 6 hours and I don't lose 5 pounds, I eat more. So that would be a good thing for me, the scale, that you don't see the number. But I was really impressed with his work on the savings, how this whole idea that you don't know how much savings there are. You don't know how much other people have saved. You just know how much they've spent. And that having everyone in the family know, like that big round thing where they did the notch in the wall, that was what caused people to save the most, even more greater than giving them financial literacy or greater than having a kid remind them in a memo that they should save. Okay, so here's my takeaway. On my calendar at home, in front of my daughter and my husband, every day that I don't lose my shit at my husband, I put a big star on the calendar, and everyone can see it. And then every day that I have a star, everyone knows that it wasn't just a day like savings where you didn't lose your shit, but it's just because no one knows what was going on underneath. They see that you kept your shit together for a whole day. Yeah? Okay. Okay, Thelma Lobel. Okay, she's the one who did How Sensations Affect Our Decisions and Thoughts. Okay, so she talked about how the red wall behind the woman made her sexier. Men wanted to spend more money on her. They wanted to listen to what she had to say more just because she had a red wall behind her, red background. So I called my husband last night and I said, oh my God. So I told him and he goes, is this why all the walls of our house are painted red? And then I realized they are painted red. I have my entire main floor is painted red. So what I learned from Thelma is that the next time I want to negotiate something with my husband, I'm going to put him in a comfy chair, I'm going to get him a blanket, a warm drink, and then I'm going to sit in a hard chair, but my background's going to be a red wall. Okay. Now we have, the two astronomers. Well, there's more astronomers, but Adam Rees, another guy I love so much, so funny and so great. And he talked to us about the black energy, how 70% of the universe is black energy, and we don't even know what that is. And I was thinking that I really do think that's Donald Trump. I think we have the answer. The 70% dark energy is Donald Trump. Okay. But I realized that Trump would actually disagree. He would say, I'm 90%. Okay, then David Gross. Now, he's the astronomer that talked a lot about physics that was way above most of our heads, or maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better. And I realized that he was talking about the expanding universe, and his talk kept expanding. And his talk expanded and expanded. And I think the audience was like, it's expanding, it's expanding. And then we all thought, oh no, it's contracting, because then it seemed like it was contracting. It was contracting. And then we thought, oh no, it's expanding again, it's expanding again. And then I think we all thought, when is it going to end, and how did it begin? Thank you. Okay. Oh, the climate debate. I don't have that much to say about that, except that I just wondered if you're an actual lord, like the guy who was here was a lord. I mean, do people say, Lord? Oh, Lord. Does he get that a lot? You go, oh, Lordy. I don't know. Oh, and I loved Robert Sawyer's talk today about fantasy and science fiction, and about Frankenstein, which was the first science fiction book I read in 8th grade that Sister Charitina assigned to us, and that blew my mind, and I loved it so much. So I loved him just articulating the difference between science fiction and fantasy, which I actually never thought about before. And then it made me think of Moran Cerf's talk. Now, he was the guy who did the thing, basically he's proving that we have no free will, but that's the bad news. His experiments were about him showing two pictures of two men who are relatively the same in attractiveness, and then somebody picks one or the other, and then they do a sleight of hand where they show the one they didn't pick, but then the person justifies it. And I thought, but those two guys were too close in their looks. If you had a picture of like Brad Pitt and Frankenstein, and then they picked Brad Pitt, and then they said, and you picked Frankenstein, I don't think the people would say, oh yes, it's because I love those knobs coming out of his neck, and I like his square head, and just all the seams around his face are so attractive. Okay, what else do I have? Oh, I guess I don't have that much left, you guys. I'm sorry. Noam sitting in the chair. Oh, so last night, I just want to say my favorite moment of this whole thing was last night. I stayed for the Spanish speaking session. That's right. Except for the was the guy who does the refugee, he takes off half their brain because they've gotten a bullet in their brain, which I found unbelievably gross and fascinating, and I think that guy should win every medal that you could ever win for doing the job that he's doing. I mean, can I just say, I fell in love 1,000,000 times this weekend, and he was definitely one of those guys. And I was so thinking about the work that he did and everything, which has nothing to do with something funny. I'm just saying, I think that guy's really cool and great. Okay, but then this guy I've never heard of, Wampa Zarita, came on stage, okay, so I'm old and I don't know what's going on. Okay, and it was like Elvis was on the stage. I mean, it was so big. And so then later I kept saying, well, he must be a movie star in Mexico. No, he must be a musician who's a great virtuoso musician. No, he makes funny videos for his Instagram feed. And he has 30 million followers. And I was like, oh God, I'm really old. I'm so old. What is going on with the world? But I feel glad that I know about him now. And I just want to say in closing that my favorite moment of this whole weekend, which was great, was everyone singing, I'm assuming it was the Mexican national anthem last night. And I didn't know you guys did this. This is so good. And I got really verklempt. I was really teared up, and it was just so beautiful, and it just made me want to move here. And in my final thing, I just want to say, I don't want to say thank God for Andre, because I don't believe in God. So I just want to say thank evolution for Andre. Because every once in a while, evolution just spits out some guy like him who really loves to connect with people and who really is bright and smart and wants to bring great ideas together and minds together. And he could be somebody who just has fascinating people around his dinner table at night. But instead, he chooses to spend his time making something wonderful like this. And so I just thank evolution for Andre Romer. Thank you. Thank you.
Julia, muchas gracias. Thank you very much.